Good, good. Sitting here, I had to take Ryan interviewing me. Huh? Yeah, well, I'm in good hands. Yeah. Okay. Bye. I love you too. Bye. So I stopped by. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I stopped by Miss Preve's house one evening. And see, I'm a college graduate now. But we still kept good relationships all while I was in the army.
So this is a white woman whose yard you used to cut.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And and when I went in service, I would write to her, and she would write to me. She said, so when I got out of school, got out of the army, and I came back, I still cut her yard, and when I went to college, we still communicated. I knew she wasn't coming to my graduation, but I sent her an invitation anyway. So when I got home, and while I'm looking for a job, I stopped by her house one evening, about dinner time, and we were sitting around her table having dinner. Her husband, her daughter, who was about my age, who was married to a rich insurance man. So we were sitting there talking, so Miss Freed, the mama, said, you know, Joseph got more education now than I have. So her husband, who's a traveling salesman, said he got more education than I have. Her daughter said, and Joseph got more education than I have. So Miss Freed, the mama, said, it's no here nor there. Joseph need a job. Daddy, talk to her husband. Do you know anybody? He scratched his head. He couldn't think of nobody. And then she popped her finger. My attorney, Deputy Percy McDonald. He's the president of the School Board of Education, Shelby County School Board of Education. Joseph, go on where you say you're going down Mississippi and look for a job. When you get back, I'm going to have an appointment with Deputy Percy McDonald for you. So when I came back, she had that appointment set up for me. I went down to his office. We walked in, he came down out, and we talked a little while, based on her recommendation. He said, you know, you did, she told him about how I went back to high school and finished high school and all of that after I came out of the army.
Right.
He said, you did something I couldn't get my son to do. Went on back to school. And then we talked a while about what I did in the army, this, that, and the other. And then he said, he called his secretary down. And I still got this letter. I looked at it last week. This ex-veteran, I don't know why he got that X from him, but that's what was in that letter.
Huh.
Comes to me highly recommended. This is the kind of man that I like to recommend. Interviewed him. This is to Mr. Rosher.
I see.
The man that asked me about my music stuff.
That's right.
This letter to him. He said, this man comes to me highly recommended. This is the kind of man I like to recommend. Interview him. And if there's anything in Shelby County that he can do, let it be done. Deputy Percy McDonald. P.S. Call Miss Powell's attention to this. That's the superintendent. So this time I walked. He gave me a copy to give Mr. Rossi. He gave me a copy to give me his creed. He gave me a copy for myself.
That is great.
So I walked in that office this time, and I gave him that letter. He opened up and he read it. Closed it up, went back in the back office to the superintendent, like he said, called her attention to this. And then they begged for the bookkeeper. So he went back there. So when Mr. Rossi came out this time, he said, Jordan, I don't have anything in agriculture. Would you be interested in teaching anything in elementary school? I said, Mr. Rossi, when you go to college to be a school teacher, you take what you can get and you wait for what you want. That's the spirit. So he said, I'm going on vacation. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll have a job for you. And this must have been, I think this was on Wednesday. So I went to Jeter as a substitute teacher. And when I got back, that might have been Tuesday. But anyway, when I got back from teaching that day, my wife told me, said, the secretary from the school board just called. See, this is about 2 days after the interview. Mr. Rossi said for you to go to college on Monday morning as a teacher. He didn't wait for them 2 weeks. He didn't take 2 weeks. Oh, this was done before he went on vacation. So, what I did, I had to borrow my brother's truck, Cleve's truck, to drive to college with him to meet my would-be principal. He was so happy to receive me because my principal out there at College Junior High School, the principal was an agricultural man. He was the principal and the agriculture teacher. So he was happy to get an agriculture teacher that was coming out there to teach literature, which I didn't know nothing about literature. But I knew what Mr. Armour was going to do. He's going to make me teach his agriculture class with no pay, no extra pay. He had night classes. He had to teach the farmers. I was going to wind up teaching some of that too, and that literature during the daytime.
Yes.
So I got out there. Colonel Robertson was teaching that literature. He was in charge of the reserve unit in Memphis. And it happened so that reserve unit had to go to Korean War. So that's why I got his job.
I see.
Because he had to leave. The only reason I wasn't in that reserve with him, my 3-year reserve years was up. And while I was at Tennessee State, when that reserve ended, I went downtown to re-enlist. When I got downtown, I found out that the place where I had to re-enlist had moved outside of Nashville City. And I didn't have time to transfer to the bus to get out there that day. So I went on back to campus, and I didn't go back. If I had gone back and registered, I'd have wound up having to go
To Korea.
to Korea with Well, they went to Greenland. That's why they went. I don't know what they got actually into the Korean War, but his unit went up in Greenland.
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 Mm-hmm.
And so when I got back home that evening after going out there and meeting my principal to find out what I was going to have to do, before I left to go out there and meet him, I called Mr. Falls, the Jeter principal. I said, Mr. Falls, I've been hired to go to Collierville. He said, wouldn't you rather work for me? I said, you know I'd rather work for you, Mr. Falls. He said, Miss Powell told me when you finish college, she was going to hire you to work for me. He said, you doing right. Going out there to see Mr. Armour, to see what he's going to tell you. He said, but I'm going to call Miss Powell right now. So when I got back from out to Collierville to meet this man that really wanted me bad, the secretary had called my house, and Dorothy told me, Miss, I got her name, secretary called and said, instead of going to Collierville Monday morning, go to Jeter.
That is too crazy.
Mr. Armour called me that same night. Please stay with me. I said, Mr. Falls, want me to come here? I said, I'd rather go to Jeter because it's closer to my house and I don't have a car. I can get a ride easier. So that's why I got away from him.
Well, because when he heard you didn't have a car, he realized how
He's gonna figure out how I was gonna get there. He had some teachers coming out of Memphis.
Oh, he did. He was going to get them to pick you up.
That's right. But I wasn't gonna happen. And Mr. Falls didn't have a place for me. He didn't have a class for me.
So what did he have you do?
Piddle around and go from place to place, help out here and help out there until something came up. He hadn't figured out what he's going to have him do. Whether he's going to take some of Miss Goodlow's math from, not math, but chemistry, because I certified to teach biology, general science, and chemistry. So he was going to take some of that stuff away from her and give it to me. But before that materialized, Miss Miller had 72 children in her 5th grade class. So he gave me half of her 5th grade class. And he didn't have a classroom. So in that classroom Miss Miller had, she had a large room. Half of that class was seated facing the north end of the room, and the other chairs were facing the south end of the room. In other words, we had a open class.
Open classroom.
Yeah. I was teaching the 5th grade on one end of the room, she was teaching the 5th grade on the other end of the room.
So those people in that 5th grade class, that's really your first class.
That was my first class. And I got a plaque at the house with them on it.
Oh, they had a reunion or something?
They gave me that at my retirement.
That first class. How old are those people now?
71 and 70, about 71, 72. George Grant, not George Ford.
Mm-hmm.
The elder Paul Tipton. He the one gave me the plaque.
I see.
He was my public speaker. He gave me credit for him being a preacher. He won the contest of the Gettysburg Address. And I taught him how to cut rafters after I got out of the 5th grade. I wound up teaching him in the 9th grade in agriculture.
I see.
Because I taught the 5th grade 5 years. And then Mr. Fisher class got so large, he needed some help in the agriculture class. Well, Mr. Falls didn't want two full-time agriculture teachers. He just wanted to switch me around and let me help Mr. Fisher. So we did that for 1 year. Well, part of a year. So when I went to Nashville to the agriculture meeting, that's spring, the state supervisor was talking to all the teachers in the state of Tennessee, agriculture teachers. I'm sitting there, I'm just a part-time agriculture teacher. And when I told him I was a part-time agriculture teacher, he said, there's no such thing as a part-time agriculture teacher. All agriculture teachers are supposed to be paid 12 months of the year. Because they have projects going on. And in the school, when school's out, they're supposed to continue to work with those boys. Okay, I knew that. I said, I am a part-time agriculture teacher. So find somebody in the group. Say, he's from Shelby County. Well, see, Shelby County, during that time, could do anything that Shelby County wanted to do. So when he found out I was from Shelby County, he closed his mouth. But he said enough to me. When I got back to Memphis, I got me one of those agricultural bulletins, and I called that program that was in that agricultural bulletin to fit Shelby County. And when school was out, I had a program set up for my boys during the summer. And I'm dealing with Mr. Rosher now. I laid my summer program on his desk. I said, now, Mr. Davis has a full-time program. I said, but the boys that I teach, I can't follow up on them. I said, but I laid out a program so the parents know that I'm supposed to do these things, follow up, like the other boys. I said, now this is my program for the summer. He said, Mr. Falls said he doesn't need but one full-time agriculture teacher. He said, but I will put the program on the superintendent's desk. Well, Ms. Powers is not the superintendent anymore. The finance man, George Barnes, is the superintendent now. So, when he laid that on George Barnes' desk, a couple of days later, I was called and told me that my agriculture program was full-time now. Start to work July 1.
And what did Mr. Falls ever say to you about it?
Nothing. Because Mr. Falls didn't understand that I didn't know W. McDonald. He thought that I was in cahoots with W. McDonald, who was the chairman of the school board.
Yes.
George, Mr. Falls, he thought I was a politician, but I wasn't no politician. But I did know somebody who knew somebody. And I showed him the letter that W. McDonald wrote me.
I see. Yes. Yes.
So he knew that he might get in trouble fooling with me.